3 minutes.
Yeah.
It keeps us going. Once we get started. Yeah.
Let me start. Welcome to the Planning Commission meeting. Today is Thursday, September 11th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. We will start with a prayer. Any volunteers? Sorry. Okay. By Member King, and then please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Our Father who art in heaven, we're grateful for the blessing that it is to be here in this planning commission. We ask thee to allow thy spirit to be here with us, that we may be able to understand what is best for the county. We're grateful for the opportunity to serve, and we're grateful for thy beloved Son and his goodness. Help us remember him always, and we say this in his name, even Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Motion by Member Sessions,
Second.
second by Member King. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Any conflicts of interest, anything on the agenda tonight? Seeing none, we will move into public comment. We do have a legislative item on the agenda tonight. If you're here to speak about that, we will have a public hearing at that time. If there's anything else you'd like to speak about, please come forward and state your name for the record.
Hi, I'm Jeff Glum. Good evening. The Utah legislature responded to the Conitzer trespass case in Morgan County in 2010 by overwhelmingly passing the Public Waters Access Act. Its author was Representative Kay McKiff, an attorney and 6th District Court judge. The Public Waters Access Act narrowly defines the public's use as only incidental touching of private stream beds. The goal of this new law was to reestablish constitutional protection of private property that taxes are paid on. Therefore, based on this legislative action and the governor's signature, Utah Code 73-29-201 determined that there is no Conitzer easement. Furthermore, there is no legal prescriptive easement on Kent's property. In claiming navigability for title, as some elected officials and NGOs have suggested related to the Lower Weber River, it is important to recognize there are legal standards and obligations firmly in place. Of paramount importance is the unanimous 9-0 U.S. Supreme Court decision in PPL Montana versus Montana in 2012. The court said, in order to find a determination on navigability for title, it must be done on a segment-by-segment basis. Based on this very important finding and established criteria, the Lower Weber River is not and never has been navigable for title. Utah Supreme Court in 2023 in USAC versus Victory Ranch found that pioneer era use and an assumption of a present day easement are just not connected. Utah's High Court said there's no constitutional protection for the public's right to touch privately owned stream beds, and any further policy considerations are better directed to the legislature. Certainty of title, including property on the Lower Weber River, is a fundamental right in America and certainly in Utah. The Utah Constitution, Article 1, Section 22 says, private property shall not be taken or damaged for public use and without just compensation. Damage would certainly include government ignoring the most important bundle of rights for private property, the right to exclude. Utah's 76 -06-206.6 defines criminal trespass on non-navigable streams and banks, especially where the connoisseur easement is revoked. The U.S. Supreme Court spoke clearly on certainty of title, government responsibility in American Land Company versus ICE in 1911. SCOTUS said, it is the responsibility of governments and the judiciary to ensure certainty of title because the general welfare of society is at stake. Therefore, there is nothing that could be considered unsettled when it comes to the public's use of private-owned stream beds. There is no connoisseur easement. The Utah legislature defined the public use of private stream beds as incidental touching, and the U.S. Supreme Court explicitly defines navigable for title as a segment-by-segment determination. A pre-planned, signage-endorsed exit entrance is not incidental touching. Each of these declarations assures certainty of title, the sacred obligation of government. And I'd like to leave a copy of this. Thank you.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. As you know, I'm Kent Singleton. I'm back again to address the ongoing obstruction and lack of transparency surrounding my FEMA-required floodplain fence permit application. This is like the third public appearance resulting from my email applications, asking for an agenda item and asking for responses to 2 appeals per your policies and procedures, all having gone unanswered. Today, as a member of the Morgan County Farm Bureau, I want to point out the 109-year-old Farm Bureau's unwavering stance on property rights. I'm holding up the printed policy out of the 2025 policy book. The 34,000-member Utah Farm Bureau supports the rights of landowners to construct and maintain lawful fences on their property without undue interference, and calls upon state and local authorities to facilitate rather than obstruct such lawful improvements. My FEMA-required floodplain fence permit application, critical for safety and compliance, has been stalled for months. What's even more troubling is the lack of support from my fellow Morgan County Farm Bureau elected leaders who serve on this board. Farm Bureau's historic and proven policy process is recognized and embraced by local, state, and national government entities. The Utah Farm Bureau policy related to private property rights explicitly supports the sanctity and protection of private property rights without government interference. Farm Bureau policy opposes government entities suspending private property rights. I am here to request that this commission take the following actions. Fulfill my GRAMA requests and consider this speech as another GRAMA request. Provide the payment record for my business license. This isn't a complex request. It's simply a matter of providing proof of a payment that was already made. Complete the processing of my long-awaited FEMA required fence permit. Ensure that the process is completed expeditiously, ensuring consideration of Utah Farm Bureau's members-driven policy. I am asking Morgan County Commissions to support the 2025 member-driven Utah Farm Bureau fencing policy that was adopted at the annual annual convention. My request is to be on both the Planning Commission and the County Commission agenda still remains. This is not merely a single business license or a single fence. It's about the integrity of Morgan County's governing bodies in upholding the policies that are intended to protect the interests of our community. I also need to mention these particular trigger words for a citizens portal, and that's transparency, eminent domain, navigability, trespass, Weber River, prescriptive easement. How do you suggest the Weber River in Taggart is navigable? ? It does not meet the historical criteria. Your obligation is to follow the U.S. Supreme Court and assure certainty of title, because each of you are personally responsible to society. Thank you. And here-
Seeing no additional public comments, we'll move into our administrative portion of the meeting.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good evening to the Planning Commission. Application number 25.015 is the Whittier subdivision number 1 plat amendment. The applicant, Angelique Reed, is in the audience tonight, Madam Chair. The location for this project is at 3929 North, 4000 West, and involves 2 lots as designated by the parcel numbers and serial numbers in your staff report tonight. The zoning is R120 for both lots. The acreage is approximately 1.07 acres combined. And the request for tonight, Madam Chair, is a lot line adjustment. The lot line adjustment is simple. It proposes a move of about 12 feet to the north, which would change, obviously giving acreage from one property to the other, where the proposed acreage for either lot would not be less than the 20,000 square foot mandate from the zoning ordinance. I've got the numbers here. Lot 4 will be increased from 0.52 acres to 0.57 acres, and Lot 3 will be reduced from 0.55 acres to 0.50 acres. Staff, having done a review of the proposed lot line adjustment, finds that it meets all of the minimum code requirement, with reviews coming from the county engineer, the county surveyor, the county recorder, the fire department, Morgan County Fire Department, and planning staff. Again, the recommendation being for approval based on compliance with the minimum standards from our code. Otherwise, Josh and I are happy to answer any questions you have. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Question? Discussion? Are we ready for a motion? Seeing no discussion? Yeah. Does the applicant want to add anything? You'll come up here.
I'm not sure how this works. We just want to build a regular home with a septic system, so hopefully that's not a problem. Anything else that? My name's Angelique Reed.
Thank you.
Seems pretty straightforward.
Yep. Cool.
Madam Chair, I move we recommend approval to the County Commission of the Whittier subdivision number 1 plat amendment, application number 25.015, approximately located at the 3929 North, 4000 West, within the unincorporated county area based on the findings listed in the staff report dated September 11th, 2025.
A motion by Member Wilson,
Second.
second by Member King. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Thank you. Moving on to our legislative portion of the meeting, our highway signage code text amendment. It's your floor, Josh.
Thank you, Madam Chair. 30th of this year, we received an application from a property owner to amend our text. They are requesting the commission approve a text amendment that would add a highway freestanding sign, which would give properties that are part of a shopping center, based on our definition of shopping center, the ability to put up an additional freestanding sign along the I-84. The code was drafted by the applicant. I met with them. We found a place in the code to put it. I modified the language a little bit, but I'm going to turn it over to the applicant to go through the text with you and explain kind of their reasoning. I believe a majority of the text may have been taken from the city of Bountiful's highway, heavy commercial highway signage. Some of what they've put in there kind of matches the same specifications from Bountiful. There are quite a few other communities in Utah as well as around the country that allow for highway signage separate from a regular freestanding sign. So I'll turn it over to them and let him kind of go through it with you.
Awesome, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Chad Fowers with Rise Sign Company. I represent the Valpal development. I believe it's Canyon View. Is that correct? Canyon View Commons. Yeah, west. So, as previously stated, Madam Chair, the intent of this text amendment is to allow for a single double-sided monument sign that has a height maximum of 40 feet above the I-84 interstate. We, as Rise Sign Company, have worked with a number of business owners in that new development that have requested single standing pole signs for visibility with commuter traffic along the I-84. With those requests being submitted to the county for approval, those have been put on a stay for now until this meeting to determine if that is the direction that the county wants to go on that. So the benefit of what we're looking to do with one multi-tenant freeway sign is it eliminates the numeric addition of a lot more pole signs. So as you're driving along the I-84, if every business is given the opportunity to have their own individual pole sign, it becomes a little bit cluttered. It detracts from the overall aesthetics of the community. And so, like Josh has mentioned, in other cities, specifically Bountiful, they've kind of agreed to combine all of the businesses into one multi-tenant sign. We are looking to get approval for a illuminated sign, obviously, that follows dark sky ordinances in the area. But what we're hoping for is something along the lines of an anchor tenant with multi-tenant below that. In this situation in the community as it is, it would be Young Motorsports that would be acting as the anchor tenant, and then the rest would be below that. So with that being said, we're suggesting that this would add a better aesthetic overall for the community as Mountain Green specifically looks to expand its commercial footprint going forward. So.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any questions for the applicant before we move into public hearing?
Well, I do, but we can wait till after.
Let's maybe move into public hearing first. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Do I have a motion to move into public hearing?
Motion.
Motion by
second.
Member King, second by Member Sessions. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimous. We are now in public hearing. If you'd like to speak on this item, please come forward and state your name for the record.
Tina Kelly, Mountain Green. One of the first items that came up during my time on the county council was the discussion about the sign ordinance. People did not want to see billboards. They didn't want to see a proliferation of signs taking up the freeway or the view shed, or they also had issues with safety in mind on the highway and the freeway. So that was one of the first things that was tackled during my time on the county council. I didn't write the ordinance, the planner wrote the ordinance. But we listened to the community, and the community came forward several times reiterating that they did not want to see the highway or the freeway littered with signage. I had a concern, but I don't have my iPad with me, so I can't tell you what my notes were. I'm just going off based off my memory and trying to look at my phone. It says that this would stop the proliferation of signs, but I believe it would add to it and set a precedence for future developments going forward. And I have a concern for that. It also says 40 feet above the grade of Interstate 84, but the developments actually sit below that, so I'm concerned about what the actual height signage is. And I'm concerned about electronic signs, the visibility, the safety issues. That was one of the things that we really tried to address. Flashing signs, neon signs, electric signs, draw your eye to them, and that's what they want you to do. They want you to see them, but if you're driving and your eye is drawn to them, then it's taken away from the road and the other cars on the road. So that was an issue. And talked about the night sky ordinance, but I'm not sure how bright they will be. And they're just, I feel, I can't prove it, but I know that there have been safety studies done that they're not safe. If I want to go to a business, if I'm driving through an area and I'm not familiar with the area, I want to go to a gas station or a restaurant or a business, I look for the road signs that the highway or the freeway signs, UDOT in this case, have out directing me to where those things that I might be interested in. Marketplace, Lee's Marketplace, Sinclair gas station, Heinz gas station. Those signs, the UDOT has taken responsibility for the safety of where those are located. I'm not sure how the new signs being on a private area would affect people driving through. I'm very concerned about the ordinance and making any changes to it. I just hope that you will look at this and ask a lot of questions. Thank you.
Seeing no additional public comments, do I have a motion to close and
Motion.
motion by member Watt,
Second.
second by member King. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Any questions for the applicants? Discussion? Josh?
I have a couple questions for Josh. Josh, when we're considering this, tell me the county, it's not clear to me what the county is offering or has offered and what they're entitled to, if anything. If we,
The county hasn't offered anything other than what's currently in our code.
is there any like state laws or national laws that prohibit us from?
No, the only national law which was upheld by the Supreme Court is that we can't regulate content. Place, time, manner, size, those things can be regulated. With what's before you as a planning commission, you could recommend outright denial. You could recommend outright approval. You could recommend approval with modifications to the square footage or the height or what's written there. Or you can make a modification recommendation where if you don't support it, you could recommend denial, but if the county commission were to approve, you would recommend X, Y, and Z. changes to the text. It's pretty open. It's a legislative text amendment, so it gives you kind of a lot of latitude. Yep.
I'm sorry, I have a question for you. I know you mentioned Bountiful. What is your thought on the size, or the height rather, the 40 feet, based on other counties of our size, or just what is your opinion on the 40 feet?
40 feet is fairly similar to what's already allowed by freestanding signs. I do know that the last time we went through the sign code to amend and modify what's allowed by freestanding sign, I was recommending 45.
Okay.
But both Planning Commission and County Commission at that time were absolutely not, and they set the freestanding sign height limit to 35. I don't think that sentiment has changed.
Yeah.
So I just tried to fit it in our code. I helped them draft it, but the size and specifications were their proposal, except for the square footage. They were proposing 2 feet per lineal foot of property frontage, and I changed it to building frontage to reduce the overall square footage. But that's really the only modification I made.
I like that modification.
So, Josh, if I'm understanding this correctly, this is for exposure to I-84. How does this differ from what we already have in place for along Old Highway Road? And why would we want to make it different?
So when we changed the code, we about 6 months ago, we changed the code to define shopping centers. And so, like, if it's within a subdivision like Canyon View Commons West or Canyon View Commons, they're allowed one freestanding sign, which technically they can put anywhere on the property. From my understanding, they're choosing to put it along Old Highway Road, but they'd also like to have freeway signage, one freestanding sign per shopping center along the freeway as well. So it would add an additional freestanding sign just along I-84 though.
The standards for the signs, though, would be concordant with this code change. Are they different from what?
Yep, I made them different. So you have freestanding signs, which are allowed within shopping centers. There are some exceptions to that. Maximum height limit is 35 feet, and it's 2 feet per building frontage of the largest building on their lot.
Thank you.
What is the current definition of shopping center for the county?
I don't have that in front of me.
It's not,
It's not in our code yet
yeah,
because
I went to look for it and it wasn't
yeah,
there.
American legal, they're rather slow, and they cost a lot of money. So we try to save up ordinances to send it to them because it's like $3,000 a pop. It's a lot of money. We're looking at changing that though and going to where we can update and maintain it in-house with a different code company. That hasn't happened yet. But this is the definition that we brought forward. A shopping center, commercial developments that include commercial subdivisions in their entirety, strip malls, strip developments, and any combination of multi-lot or multi-tenant developments. So the Lee's Marketplace. Lee's Marketplace is part of a 6-lot subdivision, which has multiple pads, 3 of which or 4 of which are not developed yet. All that entire shopping center would be allowed one freestanding sign, according to our current code. Canyon View Commons West is its own subdivision, commercial subdivision, and so Canyon View Commons West would be considered one shopping center. Canyon View Commons, which is a subdivision adjacent to it, would also be considered a subdivision. And shopping center based on our definition.
Josh, why the Bountiful ordinance? Would you consider that a model ordinance, or?
I don't know. I was just looking to see what other cities or towns or counties had freeway signage or highway signage in their codes. And when I came across Bountiful, the square footages that they were proposing and the height was the same. So I thought that's probably where they pulled it
Modeled
from.
it. There was a comment made about the lighting and the night sky. Go ahead. I'll let you.
Oh, no, go ahead, Fish. I apologize.
No, you're good. I'll just throw that out and let you speak to it.
No problem. So every site plan that comes forward, we require a photometric. That
Yeah.
photometric has to meet our code, and our code has specific standards for lumens and foot candles. It has to be zeroed out at the property line. We also have standards that require those signs to be turned off after 10 p.m. or 1 hour after final business hour, whichever is later. We haven't had a code enforcement officer until recently, so we haven't really been policing when businesses turn off their lights.
Thank you.
Josh, if this gets approved, are we going to have a bunch of signs for businesses that already have some up, changing them from 35 to 40 feet? Do you think?
Only along I-84 would they be able to do that.
Yeah,
Because the
but-
standard freestanding sign, which would go on a property, as long as it's not on the I-84 frontage, wouldn't be allowed to. And if you want to recommend approval that we clarify that in the code, we can add a sentence about that.
I have questions. I don't know if it's for the applicant or you. I mean, I
Okay?
have questions about this code. That be to the applicant or you?
I would defer to the applicant.
Okay.
Is that all
The
for me,
applicant.
though? You can ask me some later. I was just wondering.
The applicant.
Yeah, the applicant wants to come forward. Thank you.
Okay, first, it mentions I-84 corridor. How far from I-84 is the corridor? Does it go all the way up to Old Highway? It's not defined, so what's considered I-84 corridor?
As far as I understand it, it would be anything within the county that lies along, that has frontage along the 84. Does that answer the question?
Just frontage? Because it talks that if they have immediate property line with interstate, it says the sign shall provide visibility for those that do not share an immediate.
Correct. I think the clarification there is that if it's part of the shopping center.
So Canyon View Commons Commercial East has approximately 11 lots within that shopping center. I think there's only 2 of the lots that front on I-84. So what this is saying is that shopping center, because it has frontage on I-84, could put one freestanding sign that would allow tenant signs for each of the commercial buildings, businesses within that shopping center to have a tenant sign on that freeway signage.
So even the ones that do have frontage,
Well, so our code allows for one wall sign, if I remember correctly. If they want more than one wall sign identifying their business, they have to come through the planning commission and get approval for that. Or if it's on the rear of the building, they have to get permission for that. So most of those businesses are going to be facing inward. The rear of the building is behind. So they'd have to come to planning commission and get approval for wall signs on the rear. But the freestanding sign on the highway would allow for those tenants to put a sign there.
so they can't have their own sign. It doesn't say in here that,
No, those tenants, they're not allowed to have their own freestanding signs. The whole shopping center is only allowed one freestanding sign.
With 11 slots on it.
As
Right.
many
Or
slots
how many
as-
slot- yeah.
Right, but there's a maximum sign area and height that they have to fit it in.
you're saying according to this code that they.
No,
No.
I'm talking
Our-
about
our
the
general
regular
code
freestanding sign, the current
just for
code
the
that
shopping
exists.
center.
Every shopping center is only allowed one freestanding sign. There's a maximum height, a maximum width, and they have to fit all the signs for all the businesses within that shopping center on that one sign. What this code would do is allow them to put one freestanding sign on the highway side, the I-84, which would operate and do the same thing as that freestanding sign that they're already allowed to put on the other side of the property.
What other side? I mean, why can't they do that with our current ordinance?
Well, I would imagine that they want one freestanding sign along Old Highway Road for residents to be able to see the businesses and things like that. This would be additional.
Oh, so they'd have two.
Yeah, so each shopping center would be allowed 2 freestanding signs, one fronting the highway and one somewhere else in the shopping center. And the ones that are going up right now are all along Old Highway Road. Like Lee's Marketplace, they're putting theirs on Old Highway Road. Phoenix House just put in one on Old Highway Road. I would imagine Canyon View Commons East or West, and then Canyon View Commons are going to put up freestanding signs as well.
And this code doesn't mention a width limit. Would our other code?
I believe the other code set a limit of 12 feet wide.
So you assume that
There was
code,
discussion about that during that sign code update.
right?
You can add one in. I mean, you can make a recommendation. It's completely up to what you want to do.
Okay. I guess it has to be on the premise of the shopping center, the sign. It can't be off premise.
We did adopt off-premise signage requirements, but those off-premise signage, you can restrict this so it doesn't apply. The off-premise signage, there's like 10 or 12 things that they have to comply with. Get a lease from the property owner. They have to have permanent signage on their buildings. I'm just going off memory.
Right, no, I remember it.
Um,
Didn't know if that would pertain.
And it can't go on vacant property. So they can't just construct a freestanding sign on vacant property as well. So there are quite a few restrictions on the off-street signage or the off-premise signage, but if you want to restrict it so that the highway signage, that doesn't apply at all. It has to be on the premise. We can add that in.
How close to the fenced property sign under this ordinance can it be to I-84?
The freestanding sign code language we currently have says 5 feet from property line. We probably should add something in here as well. If you want to add.
Well, it just says this is to limit the proliferation of freestanding pylon signs, but if they're not allowed anyways, all this is actually adding.
This would add a second sign to the shopping center in general. So we've limited the number of freestanding signs based on our definition of shopping center. This would give them a little bit more signage along I-84.
Doesn't actually limit it.
And you can ask the applicants some more. Sounds like you want to talk some more.
To answer that previous question, the issue that we had was that the first building that was completed in that subdivision was Wildcat Storage, and they were going to be allowed that freestanding sign because it was the one freestanding sign in the community or in that shopping center. And so that's why they put a stay on that, because they hadn't established this new text amendment or brought that up, because it would allow for one freestanding sign that the first person that applied would be able to basically take up. So we put a stay on that, and that's why they can't do that. So that's where that came from.
So is it fair, sorry.
For the sake of clarity and just make sure we understand, my interpretation before we changed the code was that shopping centers were allowed based on the code language at the time. It was not clear, but that my interpretation at the time was that each shopping center was allowed one freestanding sign, And we received multiple applications from tenants within that subdivision for individual freestanding signs. So we put a text amendment together that clarified the definition. It did not change my interpretation, but it clarified staff's interpretation.
Your intent is to have a single sign for the tenants on the I-84 side and a single sign for the tenants on the old highway side.
I believe that the developer has expressed interest in on both sides.
Okay.
I guess we're looking into the future because having a sign on the interstate really doesn't benefit the businesses, because those heading west would have to go all the way down the mouth of the canyon and turn around and come back if they see a business. Heading east, you'd have to go all the way to Peterson and backtrack. So I when we get the interchange in, it makes more sense, but
Specifically for this development.
what?
Specifically for this development.
Yes, this development, yeah.
I'm going to ask a question of legal. Are there any other issues related to this in terms of expression of signs and businesses?
No, like Josh said, we can't regulate content,
Right.
but definitely time, place, and manner.
Thank you.
So just a clarifying question for Josh regarding Wildcat Storage. So Wildcat essentially took the shopping center's signage and used it for their own, so we'd have to add or change that, or no?
No,
Okay.
we denied the freestanding sign for Wildcat Storage and for the vet clinic
Okay.
because they're only allowed one for the entire shopping center. That was my original interpretation.
Cool.
Code enforcement just clarified that. Wildcat Storage and all the tenants in there are allowed a monument sign, and we have standards for monument signs. So it's not like we've restricted them from having a sign. We do allow, and each business can have wall signage, monument signage, awning signage. I mean, there's a whole list of things that they can apply for, and each one is a certain amount. They're allowed certain square feet for each, and we evaluate it based on that square footage, that sign area.
Thank you.
Yep.
I'm trying to remember our code for illuminated signs. We can't have the blinking and flashing.
Electronic signs, I think, are permitted in certain situations. The blinking and the flashing do fall under the prohibited section.
So you're saying like a marquee sign that changes pictures and text and things like that as it rolls through? Or are you just talking about like if it's flashing, like if you're driving down Las Vegas Boulevard or whatever, those types of things are prohibited?
Yeah, the flashing and the bright lights and things like that, it typically doesn't apply to like the electronic messaging where they have like an advertisement and then it switches after a certain amount of time. The ones that really affect you are where they just blink all the time.
Give people seizures as they drive down the freeway.
Yeah, got feeling there's epilepsy. Discussion? Come on up.
On the electronic message centers, like you were asking, in Salt Lake, they just recently passed an ordinance where they have to have an 8-second stay on each of their slides. So basically, it's more of like a slideshow instead of an animated movie. So that's something that I've seen Salt Lake, and we've dealt with in other counties do. So just as far as what we've seen done to kind of help prevent some of that distraction.
judging from comments and questions, if we want to go with a code change, we need to address whether it should be on premise. Width, do we want to go with the 40-foot height or just keep it 35? Setbacks. And then I also like to, I don't think we want quotes, shopping center in code. I don't think quotes in code is ever good. Should we just call it shopping center since we have a definition?
Yes, I would take the quotes out.
And I do think that, to Debbie's point, I don't know if it's worth removing from the text, but if we are going to pass this, I do think, or recommend approval to the county commission. It doesn't limit signs. I kind of agree with Debbie on that. I think it actually adds more signs. But they can already have monument signs and shopping center signs, so I'm in agreement on that. Any more thoughts on it? Does anyone have any strong feelings? Question for Debbie, since you've been here for a minute. Has this come up before in the last 20 years on I-84 signage specifically?
Just billboards.
Okay.
That's why we probably should put a width limit because
Can get crazy.
yeah, billboards have been the only thing that's come up.
And there was genuinely, they did not get
Yeah,
approved.
billboards are not allowed.
Yes. And Josh, do you think it would make sense to define the I-84 corridor, like in a width or a length or some sort of definition maybe below the text?
You can clarify it by just stating that shopping centers that have frontage on I-84 are considered within the corridor. You can add a sentence like that.
I would recommend the frontage, the I-84 frontage be included.
I guess we need to decide if we want to move forward with this. Do we want to spend the time to make changes if we're not interested in it? If we want to spend the time to make the changes.
Well, my question back to you would be, if it goes to the county commission, which is what next, would it be smart to recommend these changes if it does? And I don't know, you can do that on a positive recommendation or negative recommendation or both. I don't.
I think
I said we could do both.
You could list it in the findings regardless, right, Josh? Like these specific, either way.
Yeah, if the planning commission is not in favor of it, you can make a recommendation for denial. But then add in, if the county commission finds merit in the text amendment, please,
Add these things.
or just
Consider.
these findings or these additional items to the text. That is something you can do.
I'm pro small business, but I'm also anti-science.
I don't know how fast we can make the changes or take time. Try to do it on the fly.
That's a good point.
I'm in favor of the ordinance if we feel a need to make changes, I think we should make changes to those and forward them.
Understood. I think Debbie's just saying there's a lot of them. I've been making a list a little bit. But I can't
You
make a
could
motion.
make a list based on the list that you've been making and have staff make those changes before the county commission meeting.
We need to decide what changes we want. I was just rattling off what I heard.
I think I-84 frontage. Do we want to keep it 40 feet? And, Josh will point that out when he presents it at the
So
county commission.
clarify that shopping centers that have frontage on 94
Yes,
is the corridor.
yes.
And on-prem, and that sign must be on-premise.
On
Shopping
premise.
center.
Yep.
Keep the width
12 feet.
Seems reasonable.
Do we want to keep the height at 40
Height
feet?
at 35, maybe.
35.
Height of
Yeah.
35 makes more sense to me. It's
Yeah, they're similar.
precedent.
Yeah. I agree.
5 feet from property line,
Yeah.
match the other.
5 feet.
What about illumination?
I think as long as it follows our code, as far as night sky and illumination standards that we already have.
Do we want to put a timer on when it can switch?
Well, a lot of those businesses we have a Wildcat storage unit, fun fact, I have two. I can access them in the middle of the night, right? Like, that sign would never turn off, correct? Because 10 p.m., because whichever one's later, if it's a 24-hour business, how do we enforce that? Because I know you said 10 p.m. or whichever is later.
Well, those places are going to have security lights. I can see where you're coming from. The code's not real clear on that.
Yeah.
I can see the argument that the advertising signs are turned off, but the interior security lights are there for the customers that can access it. I don't know. That'd be a different text amendment if you want me to bring that forward.
I don't know that it's worth your time. It's just an interesting question of,
And it's a good question because our code doesn't get that specific.
like, for a 24-hour business, there's no end.
It says whichever's later.
Yeah.
I do think we have to be a little bit careful not to implicate other codes. We have to stay in this lane that we're trying to build here for this specific code. But if we start adjusting standards and things, we may be implicating other codes. And then we're in a bigger mess than we intended.
These will just be along ID4 though, so I don't think, as long as we just say lights aren't allowed, and we can look at that code maybe at a different time with the
Or you can
10
say
p.m.
that highway signage needs to be turned off at 10 or 11 or
10.
whatever.
See, that's what I would probably recommend. Turn it off at 10, even if it's a 24-hour business, then you know when it's going to go off. It's not going to be messing with people all night long.
in favor of that, but I'm biased because I live close.
I live very far away, and I'm in favor of that.
There may very well be a recommended time from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration under their act. There might very well be a, after these hours, lights impacting truck drivers and impacting traffic and so on and so forth. I don't know, but 10 o'clock seems pretty reasonable.
And add to the list to remove the quotation marks.
And Josh, just to clarify, sorry, I've asked you so many questions. And you can even just say yes or no, or you can come forward. Electronic messaging centers, we do not allow those anywhere else in our current signage, correct? Or we do?
Electronic messaging signs, I believe, are allowed.
EMCs?
Yeah.
Just the blinking and flashing.
They just have to follow our ordinances. Okay, so that's similar.
Have you been making the list?
Yeah, it's really messy, like my brain. But yes, I thought you were too, but yes, I'll clean it up.
Mine's just as messy.
Okay, the sign shall provide visibility for businesses within the development that do not share an immediate property line with Interstate 84. But these are all businesses that share a line with I-84. Because we just said the corridor.
Shopping center itself has and I'm going to use Canyon View Commons West again.
Yeah.
There's only 2 lots within that entire shopping center. That
Got
front-
it. The subdivision as a whole shares it. I get what you're saying. Thank
Okay.
you for the clarification. Yep. Okay. Cool. Check that. Make a better list.
Hey Josh, real quick question. If this passes, do we have an idea of how many signs this would add to I-84 corridor at this current state? Or potential signs?
As I think about driving down I-84, it's not going to add any signs on the south side because there's no commercial on the south side that fronts on I-84. On the north side, you have Lee's Marketplace, but it doesn't front on I-84. So according to this code, Lee's Marketplace and their subdivision, which is north of properties, would not allow it. So they wouldn't get one. Canyon View Commons and Canyon View Commons West are the only 2 existing subdivisions, commercial subdivisions that I know of that are in development. And so it would add 2 signs.
And is that just in Mountain Green, or is that the corridor all the way up to Croydon?
I'd have to look at the commercial properties, like Taggart's. I'd have to look to
Yeah,
see.
Taggart's, Reese Ranch,
It'd be the
that's
whole
it.
county.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
it'd
we're
be the
not,
whole
But they're
county.
not shopping
We don't-
centers.
Yeah, we don't have a lot
that's
of.
true.
Shopping centers.
So it'd just be
This is-
shopping
this
centers.
code
So-
is
So
to-
just the 2.
It addresses shopping centers.
So it also addresses single commercial, because that would be a shopping center,
Center.
a sole center.
According to our definition.
But that being said, we don't have anything to do with the city, so I don't care about any property that's in the city. They're gonna go to the city to talk to them about their signage. So you can exclude all of the city commercial property. So I don't see that there's gonna be an absolute, I don't see a lot right now.
Taggart's potentially double slide, like the Wholesome plant. Is that abuts both sides?
The Wholesome concrete plant?
Yeah, they own both sides of the freeway.
Yeah.
Why they would
Why
want.
they'd
I don't know
advertise.
why.
I think it's a fair point
I'm
to
just
make.
asking
Just how
what
many
the
signs
potential
could this
would
add?
be.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Wholesome's going to go put up a big sign right there and say, "Hey, we're right here."
I'd argue that they're not a shopping center.
Fair.
It wouldn't be under this ordinance if they did.
It's a
Okay.
concrete plant,
So-
construction
So that's good
yard.
clarification right there. It wouldn't affect them specifically.
No, I don't see it affecting them. They're not a shopping center.
Okay.
You're-
Taggart's might apply. I'd have to look at the property that Taggart's is on to see. And that might help them.
Yeah.
There's also the town center development that'll be
That's
going
correct.
at the interchange.
Can you go back to the town centers that were just approved? So the Rulon Gardner Town Center property has frontage from that parcel right there. Currently, our code requires 35% commercial. I don't know where they're gonna put that commercial.
Good point.
So it depends. I don't think they're gonna combine a commercial subdivision with their residential subdivisions. I think those will be different phases. So they may not be allowed to do a highway signage. It all depends on where they put their
Where they
commercial.
put it.
M&D Nelson is separated from
Freeway.
the freeway. So they don't have frontage on I-84. And I don't know how the other properties that front on there are gonna develop in the future. I do know that, yeah, that's commercial up there, but the rest of that Mountain Green Village, a lot of that is two-family, single-family apartments. So they're not gonna be shopping centers all the way.
So it sounds like potentially two.
Is it now?
For now, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
but-
provides it for additional in the future if people are doing shopping center. But right now, sounds like two.
Real close together.
Yep.
Don't disagree
Like-
with you there,
yeah.
Debbie.
I know it's two separate development, but it acts like one. I mean, with the road looping through.
That's true. They were done separate though.
Yeah,
A lot of signs.
did we agree to turn it off at 10? Is that, or not? There was that discussion of when to turn it off.
Yes.
Yeah, I say we put that in as a
Well, I vote yes.
consideration.
Do you want me to read you my list so far? Has, corridor refers to the property having I-84 frontage, shopping center subdivision as a whole, 35-foot height, 12-foot width, has to comply with dark sky, it already says that. Remove shopping center, the quotes around it. I put remove the whole intent about limiting signs because I think it adds signs. And then consider turning off at 10 p.m.
And that the signs are on premise.
Signs have to be on premise.
Did you say the 5-foot distance from property line?
Setback.
Yep.
Okay, 7.
Regardless of how we feel about it, I think we should add these.
Yeah.
Positive or negative recommendation.
You ready for motion then?
If you are, I can't make one.
We'll give it a try. See if I can read my notes. I move we recommend approval to the county commission for the highway signage code text amendment based on the findings listed in the memorandum dated September 11th, 2025, with the following changes. That the signs be on premise, width is limited to 12 feet, height is limited to 35 feet, the setback is 5 feet. Clarify that the shopping center shall have frontage on I-84 for the I-84 corridor. Remove quotation marks around shopping center. The lights will be turned off at 10 p.m. and take out the proliferation language.
Second that motion.
Motion by member Sessions, a second by member Watt. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Any business or staff questions? Do I have a motion to approve our August 28th, 2025 Planning Commission meeting minutes? Motion by member Wilson, second by member King. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimous.
Move to adjourn.
Motion, member Sessions, second member King. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous. Meeting